सुस्वागतम सर्वेभ्यः श्री रंगनाथ पादुका भक्तेभ्यः. Let us begin. रामानुजदया पात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेंकटनाथार्यं वंदे वेदांतदेशिकं. श्रीमान् वेंकटनाथार्य कवितार्किककेसरी वेदांताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि. Let us salute the other preceptors. Lakshminatha Samarambham Nathayamuna Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Yo Nityamachyuta Padambuja Yukma Rukma Vyamo Hatastatitarani Trunaya Mene Atmad Guror Bhagavatosya Dayeka Sindho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye. Pranamam Lakshmana Munihi Pratigrunnatu Mamakam Prasadayati Yat Sukti Swadhina Patikam Shrutim. Let us say the first verse from Sri Padukasahasram. Santas Sriranga Prithvisha Charanatrana Shekharaha Jayanti Bhavanatrana Padapangajane Namaha. Let us also salute Rama's brother Bharata. Bharataya namostu tasmai prathamo daharanaya bhakti bhajam yadupajyamashesha tatputhuvyam prathito raghava paduka prabhava. So we are seeing the greatness of the divine sandals of Sri Ranganatha, and therefore this is relevant. This is the second verse that I just now said from the Prabhava Paddhati, the first chapter. So let us go to the third chapter, Prabhava Paddhati, the chapter on greatness. Vande tad Ranganathasya manyam padukayor yugam unnatanam avanatir natanam yatra chonnati. So we go to the next verse we have to take up today. Somebody was asking of the 47th verse, what is the dhatu, what is the root, verbal root of pratimaha? I searched and I found an answer. It is prati plus man to think. Pratiman is to consider. So from that the verb comes out. So in the what you call first person plural. Uttama Purushaha Bahuvachanam. So Pratimaha in verse number 47. I'm sorry I have delayed the answer to the participant. So let us go to the next one. So we saw 59 and 60 in the last session. So now we go to the next 61. Anneshu Padma Kamala Sanadri Range Rangadhipate Sriteshu Padavani Tvam Adhigamya Jatam Padam Murare Radhidaivatam Naha. So let me read with Sandhi split. Anneshu Padma Kamala Asana Kamalasana Adhyaihi Angeshu Ranga Adhipatehe Shriteshu Padavani. So it seems it is understood as He Padavani Tvam Adhigamya Jatam Padam Murare Adhidaivatam Naha. We saw in the earlier verse that the presiding deity of Srirangam temple of Ranganatha as well as the whole universe is the divine sandals. Of course, one may say that Sri Vedantadeshika, the author, exaggerates. It may be called Atishayoktihi, an exaggerated statement, but in reality, he feels so, that the divine sandals are the greatest. So that is, they are the presiding deities of the entire universe. And you can also include the what we call earlier Vaikuntham, namely Nitya Vibhuti and Leela Vibhuti, all creations. So Naha Adhidaivatam. So you are our Tvam, He Padavani, Tvam, you are our Naha, our Adhidaivatam, presiding deity, the greatest God. So Padavani, Tvam, Vayam Chintayama, Pratima. So Naha Adhidaivatam. Now, what happens here? There are divine limbs of Lord Sriman Narayana, especially here we are talking about Sri Ranganatha here. So you see Lord Ranganatha, so you see his Divya Mangala Vigraha, you have a darshan, and then you find that the goddess of fortune, Mahalakshmi, otherwise called Kamala or Padma, or there are so many names. You have Lakshmi Sahasranama Stotram available. So here Padma is the word. Padmam is lotus. Padma, the goddess seated in a lotus. Or her face is also beautiful like lotus. She is also soft like lotus flower, bright, cool, and so on. So Padma, Mahalakshmi, the goddess of fortune, as we understand, occupies the divine chest of the Lord. So she is on the chest of the Lord. And especially in Sri Ranganatha's Divya Mangala Vigraha, we see what we call the Vimana Padakam, a pendant with the background of the dome, D-O-M-E, of Sri Ranganatha, along with which Vibhishana brought the Divya Mangala Vigraha, which was given as a gift by Sri Rama in his incarnation during his anointment as the king of Ayodhya kingdom. And therefore, so Padma, Mahalakshmi, occupies the chest, the divine chest. And Kamalasanaha, Kamalam, again lotus. We are not referring to goddess Mahalakshmi here. So Kamalam lotus, Kamale Asinaha. So Kamalasanaha. So he is sitting on the lotus. So you see, so Kamala, where is Kamalasana? There is the person sitting on lotus, namely Lord Brahma, the creator. And he is on the stem of the lotus, or rather he is sitting on the lotus, whose stem goes to the navel portion, the divine navel portion of the Lord, Nabhi. So he is in the Nabhi Kamala. The navel itself looks like lotus, beautiful. And on the navel, on the lotus, Brahma is there, the Lord Creator. So you find that, so these two people are mentioned here, whereas Adyehi and others, and by others. So who are the, so for example, the Chakram, the Sudarshanam, the discus, the wheel, as a weapon for the enemies of the devotees of Lord. And that occupies the right hand, or in a particular temple, left hand also. And so in the left hand, you find Panchajanyam, the conch, otherwise called Shankham in Sanskrit. So the conch, the weapon, is on the left hand, his left hand. The chakram is on the right hand. So these are all what we call them Nityasuris. Nityasuris in the sense permanent residents of Sri Vaikuntham, apart from the specific three, namely Adishesha, Garuda, and Vishwaksena. So these people, including the chakra, Shankham, Gada, the mace. The mace is on the left hand, on the lower hand, and the sword is on the belt, that is hip. Then you have the bow, Sharngam, on the shoulder. So all the divine limbs of the Lord have been occupied by respectively these people. And what about the divine feet? The divine feet cling to the divine sandals. So whose divine sandals? Whose divine feet? Ranga Adhipatehe. So Rangaraja, Ranganatha. So Angeshu, Rangadhipatehe, Angeshu, in the divine limbs of Sri Ranganatha, Shriteshu, so they have taken shelter. They have resorted to. They have a place. Mahalakshmi on the chest, Lord Brahma on the navel, the chakram, the wheel on the right hand, upper hand, the conch, Panchajanyam on the left upper hand, the mace on the left lower hand, the sword, Nandakam, on the hip, and the bow, Sharngam, on the shoulder, etc. So they have been occupying some of his Lord's limbs. But so whereas, so what happens to the feet? So the feet, the divine feet, cling to, that is, are placed on the divine sandals. So, He Padavani, O the divine sandals, Tvam Adhigamya. So, what is Tvam, you, Adhigamya, reaching? So, who reaches whom? Padam Jatam, Padam Tvam Adhigamya Jatam. The divine feet, Padam here refers to the divine feet of Ranganatha. The divine feet have reached the divine sandals. That is you. Tvam Adhigamya. Having reached you, this Padam, what happens? Padam Naha Murarehe Adhidaivatam Jatam. So whose divine feet? Murarehe. In the first half, you find Rangadhipatehe. So another can say this synonymous in meaning, Murarehe, of again Ranganatha, Lord Ranganatha. So Murarehe Padam, the divine feet of Ranganatha, have reached you, and therefore you are our presiding deity. Whereas all others, like Mahalakshmi, Lord Brahma, the weapons, have taken up one of your limbs. Whereas because Ranganatha's divine feet took to the divine sandals, now all the others have not so much greatness like you. So this is to stress the point that what Vedantadeshika likes to say in Padukasahasram, highlighting the greatness of the divine sandals above all others. So these are all, of course, as I said earlier, now exaggerated statement, Atishayokti, hyperbole, we say. So Murarehe. So you have got another type of Alankara called Rupaka Atishayokti. There are so many Atishayoktis mentioned, varieties of Atishayokti mentioned in Kuvalayananda, a book written by Apya Dikshita. It's an Alankara book, and you can understand many kinds of the exaggerated statement. But the exaggerated statement is not untrue. So that's what you must believe. And therefore, for any question which cannot be answered from the Shastras by us clearly, when you are not able to convey the or get the answers from the for the question that we pose, they are all beyond us. That means we have no knowledge about it. And therefore, in the same way, the statement of Vedantadeshika should be believed because he is our preceptor. So, Acharya Devo Bhava. So we are all should be what you call deeper devotees of the preceptors. So once we believe in a particular preceptor, so we must have choice of the preceptor, Goptrutva Varnam. Then once we believe, once we have chosen the preceptor, then we must say Rakshishyati iti Mahavishwasaha. So we must have great faith in him that we will rely on him for our protection. So we say here, so Murarehe Padam Naha Adidaivatam Jatam Katham Tvam Adhigamya. Somebody wanted also a book on Anvaya. The Swami wanted on the Padukasahasram with Anvaya. So this is the Anvaya. So Anneshu Angeshu Padma Kamalasanadehi Shriteshu Rangadhipatehe. So you can say Rangadhipatehe Anneshu Angeshu Padma Kamalasanadehi Shriteshu. So this is the first of Anvaya prose order. So it's a translation of a set of Saptami Vibhakti words, that is locative case words, will be translated with the starting of the word in English, when. So when Lord Ranganatha's other limbs, other divine limbs, are resorted to by people like Mahalakshmi, the goddess of wealth, the creator, the four-faced Brahma, the weapons which are also called Nityasuris, when they took to other limbs, oh He Padavani, oh dear Paduka, or divine sandals, Murare He, of Ranganatha, Padam, the divine feet. So those singular in grammar, it points out the pair of feet. So whenever we say feet, we don't say foot in English also. So a pair of feet. As we say a pair of pants, a pair of scissors in English. We don't say single scissor or single pant, P-A-N-T. So a set of pants, a pair of pants, a pair of scissors. The same way, a pair of feet is in singular now. Padam is it is allowed in Sanskrit. So Murarehe Padam. So Ranganatha's divine feet. Tvam Adhigamya, having reached you. Adhigamya, having reached Tvam you. Naha Adhidaivatam Jatam. Have become our presiding deity. So let me say it again. Anneshu Padma Kamalasanaddai Rangeshu Rangadhipate Shriteshu Padavani Tvam Adhigamya Jatam Padam Murare Radhidaivatam Naha. So we will go to the verse number 62. Kshanam Saroja. Let me split the Sandhi and read first and then join as it is in the book. Kshanam Saroja Ikshana Paduke Yaha Krita Adaraha Kinkurute Bhavatyaha Akinchanasya. A small typo is there, not Akinchinasya, Akinchanasya. So Akinchanasya Api Bhavanti Shighram Bhru Kinkaraha Tasya Purandara Adayaha Purandara Adyaha Purandaradyaha. Now when I wrongly read it as Purandaradyaha, now I remember the formula, what we call Sutram in Panini, namely Ashtadhyayi. Ardhamatra Laghavena Putrotsavam Manyante Vayyakarnaha. This is a proverb in grammar. Namely, if you reduce half a syllable in a poem, then it gives a lot of happiness as though one has begot a son. So Vayyakarnaha in Sanskrit grammarians. So Sanskrit grammarians think Manyante Putrotsavam, as though they begot a son, a child, they have become fathers. By Ardhamatra Laghaven, if they cut down half other second of time, duration of time. Matra is 1 second of time. Ardhamatra is half a second. So half a second time, if you reduce, then that will make them happy as though they have become a father of a son. So now here, so I must read it as Purandaradyaha. Now, so let me read it as it is in the book. Kshanam saroje kshanapaduke yah kritadarah kinkurute bhavatyaha akinchanasyapi bhavanti shighram bhrukinkarastasya purandaradyaha. Now he again Swami Vedantadeshika calls the divine sandals Saroje Kshanapaduke. The previous adjectives that we so far saw were referring to the names of the Lord. Mukunda Paduke, Shauri Paduke, Madhava Paduke, Ranganatha Paduke, Rangadi Daivata Paduke, and so on. So Rangaraja Paduke, Ranganatha Paduke, Ranga Paduke. But here you see another beautiful adjective, Saroja Ikshana Paduke. So Lord Ranganatha is called Shandamarai Kannan. This we have also come across earlier in different terms. Sarojam is lotus. Sarojam. So Saroja Ikshana, the look, the beautiful look of Ranganatha is as beautiful as a lotus. We saw already Aravinda Paduke. He himself is called the lotus. Aravindaha is the name of the Lord by the comparison. So as a metaphorical statement, we can say Aravindaha. So you know the names for people, Aravindan. So Aravindaha, the very word itself means that it is Lord Sriman Narayana or say Ranganatha. So his look is very cool, sympathetic, merciful, pitiful, graceful, and so on, because it is like lotus. So lotus looking at us. The two lotuses looking at us. Saroja Ikshana Paduke. So he is addressing, Vedantadeshika is calling the divine sandals. Oh, divine sandals of the lotus look of looking person, namely Lord Ranganatha. Now, Kshanam, just 1 second. Just a second. So, Yaha, who, so Kritadaraha, with a lot of devotion, with a lot of respect. The word Kritadaraha we came across with regard to Lord Shiva. So we saw the Chandra Bhushanaha. I think some other word for moon. So you can say so Chandra Shekharaha. So he was understood to be in the earlier verse that he is devoted. So he has got high respect. So yaha kritadaraha, a person, for example, it can be a human being also. So kritadaraha, when he has a lot of respect towards Ranganatha's divine sandals, kshanam, for a second. So king kurute. So those of you who know Sanskrit very well, please do not split the word. Kim kurute. Kim and kurute. Don't split the word. Split the word. This is the beauty in Vedantadeshika Sanskrit. So it's a single form of verb. King kurute. King kurute meaning serves. King karaha, a servant, as all of us know. So king kurute, he serves. A person who serves, whoever it may be, God, demon, human being. So king kurute, so when he serves for a single second, that's enough. So bhavatyaha, so king kurute, when they serve you, so bhavatyaha, though it is in what we call Shakti Vibhakti, and also can be called Panchami Vibhakti, but so bhavatyaha here it's understood as bhavatim king kurute. So bhavatyaha king kurute kshanam. A person who has got high respect serves you for a moment, and when he does it, what happens? So akinchanasyapi. So that person may be poor. Maybe poor in the sense, poor in spiritual wealth. Maybe he is helpless. So kinchanaha meaning one who has something to possess. So akinchanaha is nothing to possess. He has no possession, no wealth, no belonging. And that should be the qualification of a prapanna, a total surrender. The surrenderer must be helpless. If he is capable of helping himself, he will not surrender to the feet of Lord. So when we surrender to the feet of Lord, we must feel that we are helpless. In many activities in our life, we may find our helplessness. So we must have total helplessness to call ourselves the surrenderer, sharanagata. So akinchanaha, a person who has no self-help, then akinchanasyapi. So what happened? Akinchanasyapi, tasya, add this word tasya from, add to akinchanasyapi. Tasya akinchanasyapi. So api, even to that helpless person. That helpless person, having got high respect for you, did the service or does service for a single second. Kshanam king kurute. So a helpless person, because he is helpless, he serves the divine sandals for a second, for a moment, with a lot of respect. Then, so what will be the outcome? Tasya akinchanasya. So Purandaradyaha Bhrukinkaraha Shighram Bhavanti. So Purandaradyaha, you will find a great leader of gods, namely Indra. Indra is given an adjective as Purandara. Purandaraha is another name of Indra, the what you call the king of 33 crores of gods. So and others. So you can take a minimum 8 gods of 8 directions, or 32 leaders of the gods. So all of them will follow Indra, and they will become Bhrukinkaraha. Bru is bro in English, B-R-O-W. Purvam in Tamil. Over the eyelid, our eyelid, you have a small hairline, and that is called bro, as all of you know. It is bru in Sanskrit, single letter, bru, single syllable. So bru is bro. By the movement of the bro to the helpless person, that is, helpless person moves his bro a little, And by the bro movement, the God's leaders will understand what order awaits them. By the bro movement, you can always indicate by signal of the eyebrow to the servant what to do. So they will become very devoted servants. The God of gods and others, along with other gods. So they will become totally subservient to the helpless person, you can even say hapless person, who has got high respect for the divine sandals and does service for a single moment. These gods will become shigram, quickly, in no time. We can expect them to serve the person who does service to the divine sandals. Again, we may say this is an exaggerated statement. So, bhavanti, he says. So, shigram bhavanti. It's not a future verb like bhavishyanti. The God of gods and others, that is other 31 leaders of 32 leaders of gods will become, not will become, bhavishyanti. No, they bhavanti, they become. That means the present tense, they will soon be called Bru Kinkara, Shigram. So Shigram Bhavanti. So in a very short time, when we can say that a person who has got high respect for the divine sandals and he does service to the sandals, because of the blessings, you can understand by the adjective given to Ranganatha here, Sarojekshana, with lotus look, cool look, merciful look, blissful look, blessing look, and so on. So you have, so the gods also will become, meaning that our goals will be easily attained. Our desires will be fulfilled. Let me read again. So, Kshanam Saroje Kshanapaduke Yah Kritadarak Kinkurute Bhavatyaha Akinchanasyapi Bhavanti Shigram Bhru Kinkarastasya Purandaradyaha. Just a small note out of the context here that there are now 21 participants, and because of some exigency of their time availability, some leave earlier the session. I don't know why. You please give us the reason. Of course, you can be very frank, and you can communicate to Vyoma Linguistics Lab Foundation why you leave early the session and why you are rather joining late to the session. Please be punctual. We don't want to call it as Indian punctuality. And let me also try to be punctual as far as possible, because only when there's a technical problem, there may be a delay. And therefore, I would like the participants to attend with a lot of interest to, and tell us what you need more, the explanation on the verses of Padukasahasram, or I'm not giving many parallels here. I'm not taking time to spend on similar situations, because the Padukasahasram of Sri Vedantadeshika is unique in character, and therefore let me not see that the participants leave early the session. Of course, psychologically speaking, many people, even 50 years ago, I heard that only 15 minutes concentration will be there continuously. Afterwards, people lack concentration. As students, as me too, I too will have only less concentration after 15 minutes. Or after every 15 minutes, I must have rest and I must recover my concentration. Okay, so let me read again the 62nd verse. So, Kshanam saroje kshana paduke yah kritadharah kinkurute bhavatyah akincanasyapi bhavanti shighram dhrukinkarastasya purandaradhyah. So, we will go to 63. Sometimes my explanation is mechanical in the sense it doesn't go out to deviate to give you better examples, but because there are no better examples than Sri Vedantadeshika's, and therefore we stick strictly to the text, the words of Vedantadeshika. Let us believe Vedantadeshika. Let us not find fault with him because he has exaggerated statements and so on. So, Vahantiye, now let me read the 63rd verse. Vahantiye Madhava Paduke Tvam Ushyantaha. Jayanti Sridhar will be answered in the end of the session. Thank you for raising your hand. So, Tvam Ushyantaha iti ete divi nirvighataha hamsena nityam sharadabhrabhasa kailasa gaurena kakudmatava. Now, the point that about your presence throughout the session is you must decide to attend the session fully. And if you have some other engagement by emergency, by sudden actions, then that is understandable. But when you plan to attend, try to plan to attend fully the session. I think you are not raising hand on this issue. I hope you are talking about the content of the Padukasahasram. Let me tell you the answer at the end of the session. I mean, if you have questions. So, Vahantiye Madhava Paduke. So again, as usual, the names of the name is mentioned. Madhava Paduke. So Mahalakshmi, Dhava, husband. Madhava is Lord Ranganatha here. Ranganayika is the Ma here, Mahalakshmi here, mother here. So Madhava Paduke. So all divine sandals of Lord Madhava. So Ete. So these people. So again I remind ourselves that Vedantadeshika is able to visualize the presence of gods in the temple when they worship in the sanctum sanctorum. And therefore, what do? As soon as the gods come into the temple and enter near the sanctum sanctorum, the priest place the shatari on their heads, and therefore, Vahanti, Ye Vahanti. So those who carry on their heads for a moment can even add a kshanam as from the previous verse. Kshanam king kurute, in the sense we bow our head and therefore we seem to do service to the divine sandals. So ye vahanti, ye, those who vahanti, they carry. So tvam, you. So when they carry you on their head, even for a little time. So ete divi uhyante. So these people, these gods, divi, in the sky, in the heaven, that is in Swarga or in Vaikuntha, they are carried on others' heads. All others, like rather the muktas, the released souls, the other gods who have not visited the temple, so they carry on their heads with a lot of respect these people. In the sense, they hold them in high esteem. That's what I mean. Whenever we put anything on our head, that means we give respect to the objects. So we don't carry them literally, carry the people literally. Then again, you can also say this Vedantadeshika is just looking at the human beings who come to the temple and worship, the devotees who come to the temple and worship. So also refer to the people like us who come to the temple. So those human beings, who vahanti tvam, to carry you on their head, then these human beings, when they become released souls and they reach Vaikuntham, Divi, in the sky meaning in the upper world, that means again in the happiest world, the highest world, namely Vaikuntham, Uhyante, they are carried. How? Nirvighata. Their troubles have been removed. What are the troubles? Once either human beings or gods or demons carry the divine sandals on their head, their sins have been removed. Their past sins, their present sins, their collected sins, and their future sins are all absolved. They are all released from all kinds of sins that they had. So the human beings in their previous endless number of births, all the bad activities come to a close. So the three types of sins, we call them in Sanskrit as prarabdha, sanchita, and the future sins called agami. So all this, what we call karma sambandha, our relationship with the activities of this world, worldly activities, will come to a stop. And therefore, we have no impediments. Nirvighata. So these people will have no obstacles to face, no trouble to meet. So they don't meet with troubles. Nirvighata. So what is the example? So how do we remove our obstacles and what do we become? Either gods or Ete Divi refers to these people in heaven. That means gods. Ete Divi, these people refers to our society also, human society. So when we go to Vaikuntham, then we will have no trouble. And that means the divine sandals, by our service, by our respect, by our holding on our heads, will not only relieve us from the sins, and we are relieved from the sins, we are released from the sins, and also that we will go to, we are assured of a place in Vaikuntha. So nirvighataha. So what are the examples? So you can also get to the status of Lord Brahma, the four-faced creator, Nityam, forever. So we need not return from the Vaikuntham because it's a point of no return. Generally, unless Lord wills, the released souls do not come back, usually, generally. Whereas when he wills that the people will be born as preceptors, apostles, alvars, and Nayanmars as Shiva's devotees and so on. So Hamsena Sharadabhrabhasa, just like Lord, the four-faced Lord, the Creator, will go along with his vehicle, namely a swan. What kind of swan? Sharadabhrabhasa. The swan is white. We are talking of a white swan. Even if there are some other colored swans, we are talking of white swan. The white swan, the swan itself is Rajahamsa, royal swan. King possesses it. The swan is capable of separating water from milk when they are mixed together. So that kind of intelligence a swan has. We are referring to that kind of swan, an intelligent swan. So Hamsena. So we may become equal in status with the Lord of four faces, namely creation. So what kind of whiteness? is in the swan, color of the swan. Sharad Abhra Bhasa. It shines with a cloud, a white cloud, during the autumn season. During the autumn season, there is no rain. So the clouds in the sky look pure white. Sharad, autumn season. In Tamil, it is called Ilayudir Kalam. The trees shed their leaves, and therefore it's called autumnal. We say autumn season, autumnal season, Sharad Kalam. Whenever we want to enjoy the beauty of the moon, so we are recommended to see the moon without cloud, with the clouds, but with no rain clouds. So that will be beautiful. Of course, with rainy clouds, behind the rainy clouds also the moon will be beautiful with a black and white contrast. But the sky will be clear, the clouds will be white, and during autumn season. So Sharadabhra Bhasa, when you look at a river flowing with a heavy water, and when you look at the image of the moon during the autumn season, it is very beautiful. And therefore, the poets have taken to describe such a autumnal river scene, natural scene. Sharadabhra Bhasa, the swan is white in color. The whiteness refers to the purity, as all of us know. Black is called impurity. So Sharadabhra Bhasa, generally it's a concept in the poems by poets. So Sharadabhra Bhasa, Abhra sky, Abhra cloud. There are two meanings for the word Abhra. Sharadabhra Bhasa, with the brightness of the clouds during the autumnal season. Such a swan, as white as clouds of autumnal season. So one can walk in the sense you can even ride over the swan. That means you will be like a creator. You look like a creator. Look great like a creator. You can also have four faces. Just I'm adding an exaggeration. So Nityam, so forever. So you will become really Lord Brahma himself. All released souls in the Vaikuntham will see you as Lord Brahma, will mistake you as Lord Brahma. So Hamsen Nityam. So you can also have the status. The only quality that we will not have is the creative power. So except the Lord, Sriman Narayana, or say here in the Archa form Ranganatha, we will have no facility of creation. The creation is a portfolio, specific portfolio, unique to, peculiar to the Lord. And of course, he has given the diversification, or rather allotted the portfolio to the four-faced Brahma, who appeared from the navel lotus. And therefore, otherwise, nobody else except Lord Sriman Narayana, with will to allow the four-faced Brahma, has no creative power, no activity of creation. And therefore, you can just walk like Brahma, you can ride like Brahma on the swan. Hamsena. So what is the meaning? That means having carried on our heads the divine sandals in the form of Shatari in the temple of Ranganatha of Srirangam, we are elevated to a high status like Brahma. And we are having a car, vehicle, the carrier like a swan. So then, next one, Kailasa Gaurena Kakudmatava. So we will also become equal in status with Lord Shiva. So we are not talking about the lords here, neither Brahma nor Shiva. But we can ride a bull like Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva rides a bull. Kakudman is bull. Kakud is what we call in English hump. In Tamil it's called Timil. A rising part, a protruding part over the neck, between the neck and the body of the bull. So Kakudman is hump of the bull with a hump. Kakud means hump. K-A-K-U-D. So here, so Kakud Matava, so with the bull, so we will be enjoying our ride. So how is the bull? So just like the swan, it is also white. That means Lord Shiva, as the name itself suggests, means that he is an auspicious God. So he is Mangala Devata. And therefore, so we will also be auspicious, like Lord Shiva. We will also be pure, as Lord Shiva is pure. So here, so look at the purity here. How is the whiteness of the bull? It's a white bull. We have not seen, generally I think it's very rare, white elephant is not seen. Because white horse is seen. These are all some peculiar objects in heaven. White horse. So Uchchaishravaha. Then Airavatam. Airavataha is white elephant. And of course with 4 tusks. 4 tusks. And so on. Danta. Danta Chatushtaya. So now the whiteness of the bull is compared to Kailasa Gaurena. Gaura is white color. Gauri, Parvati, Lord Shiva's consort, is white in color. So Gaurena, so Kailasa Gaurena, meaning she is beautiful, bright and so on. So Kailasa, the mountain. Even now you can see physically the Kailasa mountain. Not only in pictures and in person also. We can go as far as possible and have a look at Kailasa. And Kailasa is the mountain that in Himalayas. So it is because of snow, it is pure white. And the bull also is as white as snow on the mountain Kailasa. So Kailasa Gaurena Kakudmatava, or Va. So Va here means or. So it is not cha as we saw earlier. So it is not and. Or you can say even and here. So no problem. So either you look like the Lord of creation or look like Lord Shiva. Almost equal in status to him. And these 2 people are very important to Lord Shivan Narayana or Ranganatha, because they have mutual regard to each other, high mutual regard to each other. And therefore, we always believe in Trinity also. Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Brahma for creation, Vishnu for sustenance, and Shiva for rather laya, not destruction, but for becoming one. So here, so Hamsena Nityam Sharadabhrabhasa Kailasa Gaurena Kakudmatava. So these are so this is just to say that when we regard the divine sandals, when we have high respect for the divine sandals, our respect will also grow. As people will regard Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Okay. So then another participant, Radhika Vallabhadas, raised his hand. So let me give the answer. If there is a question, I will give you at the end of this session. And now, so let me read again. Vahantiye Madhava Paduke Twamushyantaye te divi nirvighata Hamsena Nityam Sharada Prabhasa Kailasa Gaurena Kakudmatava. So those who have 4 divine sandals of Madhava, Sri Ranganatha, so those who give respect to you will be respected by others wherever they are. That is, in heaven, in Vaikuntham, wherever they are, they will be highly respected. So as it is just 2 minutes to 6, So I will conclude here and wait for the questions from the raised hands of the participants. So let me recite the last verse of Padukasahasram. Jayati Yatiraja Sukti Jayati Mukundasya Paduka Yugali Taduvayadhana Trivedim Avandhayanto Jayanti Bhuvisantaha. Let me recite the first verse because when we are continuing tomorrow. Santas Sriranga Prithvisha Charanatrana Shekhara Jayanti Bhavanatrana Padapankajarenavaha. Let me say the Tanyan of the author. Kavita Kikasamhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Just one point before you may raise some doubts. What about Lord Ranganatha himself? Can we not become Ranganatha himself? Just like as you said, can we become Brahma or can we become Shiva? Can we become equal in status with Lord Brahma and Shiva? What about Ranganatha? There are three aspects with which we can become equal. So I will explain to you later. I will give you the Sanskrit words. Samipyam. We can go nearest to the Lord Thirunarayana, Ranganatha. Samipyam. Then Sarupyam, we can have the same divine form. Salokyam, we will have the same observation at the creations, just like the Lord. And only one thing is not possible, Sayujyam. It is not acceptable to Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya tradition. That's all. Otherwise, all the three aspects, we become equal in status to the Lord, that we have the full knowledge, wisdom. So, Sarvajna, all of us become Sarvajna, all with all knowledge, with all wisdom, and Sarva Shaktiman, we have got all powers, and so we cannot be omnipresent. We cannot be present everywhere. We cannot create anything. That's only the difference between the Lord. Let me ask now by the chat. Word by word, Prabha Sheshagiri, thanks to your good comment. So let me see who else raised his hand. So two participants raised his hand. Attendees. First Jayanti Sridhar, we can talk now. Unmute yourself.
நமஸ்காரம் அம்மா.
நமஸ்தே.
தமிழ்ல கேட்கலாமா?
நல்லா கேளுங்க. நான் தமிழ் தானே.
62ல வந்து நீங்க சொன்னேன் அந்த ரங்கநாதனுடைய மார்பிள ஒரு டாலர் இருக்கும், அது பின்பக்கமா ஏதோ இருக்குன்னு சொன்னீங்க. அந்த இடம் எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் புரியல.
பின்பக்கமா இல்ல, அது விமான பதக்கம்.
ஓ, விமான
பதக்கம். அந்த விமானம்ங்கிறது இந்த மேல ரங்கநாதனுடைய பரவாசுதேவ விமானம்னு பேரு. அந்த விமானம் அதாவது ரங்கநாதனுடைய சந்நிதிக்கு மேல இருக்கிற ஒரு கவர், அது விமானம். விமானம் தெரியலையா உங்களுக்கு? விமானம் சொன்னா தமிழ் மாதிரி இது இல்ல, பிளேன் இல்ல. சோ அது மூடி இருக்கிறது டோம் சொல்றோம்.
புரிஞ்சது, அந்த கோபுரம் மாதிரி இருக்கிறது.
கோபுரத்துக்கு மேல ஆமா, அந்த பரவாசுதேவங்கிற ஃபிகர் இருக்கு. அந்த விமானத்தோட விபீஷ்ணன் அந்த ரங்கநாதனை அந்த பரிசா வாங்கிட்டு வந்தான் அயோத்தியில இருந்து, ராமன் இருந்து. அப்போ அங்க ஸ்ரீரங்கத்துக்கு வந்து இருந்துட்டா, ஸ்ரீலங்கா போகல, அது தெரியும் உங்களுக்கு. அதுல வந்து அந்த நீங்க கேட்ட இது விமானத்தோட வந்தார்.
ஓகே, ரொம்ப நீங்க ரொம்ப நல்லா புரியுற மாதிரி சொல்றீங்க மாமா. பிரிச்சு இருந்து எல்லாமே எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப இதா இருந்து. பட் எனக்கு லாஸ்டா தான் எனக்கு இந்த மேல இருந்து ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணீங்க இல்லையா, அப்ப இருந்துதான் எனக்கு தெரியும். அதுக்கு முன்னாடி தான் அதுல இருந்து நான் ஜாயின் பண்ணி கண்டினியூ பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன்.
ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம். பெங்களூரா? நீங்க எங்க இருக்கு?
நான் பெங்களூர்ல இருக்கேன். இப்ப நான் பெங்களூர்ல இருக்கேன்.
Let me ask Radhika Vallabhadas. Please unmute yourself.
Namaste Acharya.
Swami, namaste.
I had two questions. One question is that 93rd verse, the last shloka. Vuhyante, what is this form of the dhatu?
It's a passive voice form.
Bhavakarma prayoga.
The karmani prayoga.
Karmani prayoga. Okay. And
thanks for asking.
Another question. Generally, we say that, like in the Shastra, whenever we find glorification of some devatas as if they are supreme, then those statements are actually considered to be exaggeration, because those devatas are actually limbs of Vishnu or Narayana.
Right.
But when we find a glorification of Vishnu, or here in this case the Paduka of the Lord, then I heard in one particular class actually, there was a shloka which was quoted that whenever we find a glorification of Lord Narayan, then all those statements have to be understatements, because we can never enough glorify the Lord. Like that I heard. So then why do we say that these statements are exaggerated statements? Like you mentioned that
no. I wanted to eliminate the wrong understanding that people may take it as exaggerated statement. So I wanted participants to avoid thinking that Vedantadeshika statements are exaggerated. That is the purpose with which I said this.
Okay.
That what I said was, again added to that, our preceptor must be believed for his own words. We must have more faith on the preceptor than on the what we call the true facts about in reality. So as you said, glorification of one thing will always lead to rather lowering down the status of others. And in this case, we are going to discuss before the end of this chapter, Paratattva Nirnaya. Paratattva Nirnaya. What is the decision common to all? That what is the highest principle? And we call it Lord Sriman Narayana. Many others call it by different names. And you have a very beautiful verse as a prayer to the general Lord, because the Lord is one for every religion. We have a verse starting with Yam. The second line is Yam Vaishnava Vishnu Ritistuvanti. And then all the gods are mentioned. So we have, fortunately or unfortunately, we have a pantheon of gods in our Sanatana Dharma that we take to a particular deity as our favorite deity. And then we feel amiss, that is, we feel insulted when our deity is desecrated and other deities are highlighted. Therefore, so I just wanted to have a warning towards the participants so that their thinking will be right. See, when we have in our mind a particular deity whom we adore the most, then other people will definitely find fault with us. The devotees of other gods will say, why do you antagonize other gods? Why do you make a differentiation that one is higher in status and other is lower in status? That's why I introduced the word exaggerated state. Right?
If we have to understand this different alankaras, which shastra we have to study different alankaras?
There are two basic books. Number one, Chandralokam, written by Jayadeva, and the other one is Kuvalayanandam, written by Apaya Dikshita. These are all very beginners books and they are two small books. And we have only 136 alankaras in Chandraloka. And they have been divided into greater varieties in Koleyanand. Actually, Apaya Dikshita adopted Chandraloka to expand his book. And therefore, these two books can be studied. And there are some examples given by the commentators in English also. And the commentary of Padukasahasram may contain the name of Alankaras in some verses. I'm going to tell you one or two where they are available. And sometimes we have to deduce, even if it is not given in the commentary, let us find out, search for the Alankara which may be there, which has not been mentioned in the commentary. That is the... So of course, as you said, Alankara Shastra is a vast ocean and you have to study deeply to understand. We are going to come across Virodha Bhasa Alankara. We already got Virodha Bhasa. We already saw Slesha Alankara, double meaning. We had some other, we are going to get Rupakam also. Rupakam also. So in the case of these two words, so who is to be adored more? The divine feet of Ranganatha or the divine sandals? Adidaivatam. Adidaivatam, look at that particular word, Adidaivatam Naha. Our presiding deity. Are they the divine feet or are they the divine sandals? Who is better or who is superior? Then we say it's only a Rupakam. It's only a metaphorical state. Both are equal in status. So we are not going to argue and we are not entering into a controversy in argument that one is higher than the other. And as you said, Lord Srimanarayana created the sandals also. And therefore, so this is here, as you again said, highlighting glorification of a particular limb of the Lord, which the author has in his mind. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right. Thank you so much. Shubhashri's comment is welcome. Thank you so much. Okay, so let us conclude and then let us meet tomorrow. Please can I explain, Mama? I hear read in message, students use this term. Oh, is if you, what is the equivalent if you are a female teacher? Okay. So when you address a male teacher, you say Sriman. Sriman. When you address a male teacher, you say Sriman. Don't say Mama. Mama is actually, as you know, uncle. As we say in Sanskrit also, Mama is taken as a Sanskrit word today. Mama is uncle. That is Matulaha in Sanskrit. Matulaha. Unless it is a relationship or rather blood relationship, only mother's brother can be called Mama. But generally, people, neighboring people also are called Mama. Anybody is called Mama in Tamil, Sanskrit, and other languages also. But you have to call a teacher, address a teacher instead of Sir in English. You need not use Sir, British colonialism, British rather slavery. So don't say Sir, you say Sriman. A prosperous man, prosperous in knowledge. Again, if you want to address a lady teacher, as you say ma'am today, stylishly, madam is now ma'am. So you have to use the word bhavati, B-H-A-V-A-T-I, bhavati, short. Bhavati means respected lady. Bhavati means respected lady. Those who know Sanskrit would also understand another meaning of the word bhavati. Bhavati means ease, which remains. Ease, is. Bhavati means verb means is. In noun it means, oh madam, oh respected lady. But instead of that, you can also even call a lady lady in English, is a respectful word, respectful term. We cannot call a lady woman. Oh, woman, we cannot say. Woman is a derogatory call. It's a bad term. If you say, oh, woman. So, oh man also is derogatory. So you say, oh, gentleman. And when you address a man, you say, oh, gentleman, though he may not be gentle. So he says gentleman. Gentleman is equal to lady in English. In Sanskrit, you can use the word, whether she is married or not, spinster or married, you can say Srimati. Srimati. Shrmati. Srimati. It's not Srimati meaning a noun. Srimati means a married lady, a prosperous lady, a rich lady, what you call in spiritual wealth also. So she is with all auspiciousness, and therefore you can say generally these are the meanings. You can call a lady Srimati, whether she is married or not. So this is how you occur. So don't say mama, because mama gives us what we call a close relationship. That means the affection is more when you call anybody mama. That means you consider the person as a brother of your mother. That is the closer relationship. But generally, we would always suggest that you say Sriman, Shriman, Sriman, not Sriman. Sriman and Srimati, or you can say Bhavati, simple, Bhavati for ladies. Okay. So it's time consuming for. To learn more nuances in Sanskrit, we can have some session meant for questions. Right. Mohan Parsarji's comment is right. Glorification means high esteem. Right. You are right. You are perfect. Thank you so much.